we're finally getting more ads on the podcast. And I just finished up recording a podcast with somebody else because baby, we're making it. We're going, guys. We're not letting anything stop us. We are putting our foot on the gas. We got our certified Manhater University hat on today. We got our fit. She's fitting. I'm like really trying to, I'm gonna bring this up here. You can't see me, but I'm like really trying to embrace my body. Like, hello, this is my belly. I call her tummy, and tummy doesn't look the way that my tummy used to look, but I'm learning to love her. It's a struggle, I'm not gonna lie, but it's worth it. It's the journey, like bodies change. And that's something I fucking hate change. I fucking cannot stand change, but bodies do change. And we kind of have to learn how to like roll with those changes. I don't know. It's just a journey. We're seeing how it goes. I'm definitely sporting that necklace that I got and the earrings that I got from that vendor market. I'm getting ready to do more vendor markets. We're still waiting to hear from Mawfire, so like cross our fingers on that. But I feel like we're moving. I got announced to be the author, a featured author at the Bland Book Festival. And I got announced to be a featured author at the Romanthicon that's going to happen in 2027. There's a lot of things that are happening in 2027 and I'm just like, do I do I have the capacity to plan that far out in the future? I want to say yes, I really do. The answer is no. Guys, every week looks like a different week for me. I have no idea what's going to be happening from day to day. Like we're we're in Michigan and I left the house and the air quality was better and then I went to go walk to get some like agave and then the air quality was bad again. Like we're struggling. We're trying to make it all work. It's a constant battle every single day. That's why we made tea. That's why we have tea. This tea, by the way, is from Boston Tea Room, which is in Ferndale, Michigan. I love them. This is a lavender Earl Grey. I love a lavender Earl Grey. I love Earl Grey in general. It's such a nice black tea, but it's earthy because and citrusy because it has like orange notes to it. But adding lavender to it just makes me so excited. And I'm almost done. And this is probably like my second or third cup. And I'm pissed. But Sips team, we got to get into it. So we're going to do it this time. We're going to launch the right podcast opening. I promise you, it's about to happen. Let's go. Quick pause, because if you love dark stories that don't flinch, Olympic War isn't a soft love story. It's violent, it's chosen, and it cost everything. Through war, betrayal, and survival, Moonstone fights for devotion that refuses to die. This is a Black, multicultural dystopian series about power, sacrifice, and what rises from the ashes. Olympic War and Phoenix War. Read them wherever books are sold. And we did it. Hi, Unbothered fam, and welcome back to another episode of basically Unbothered Recapped. Luckily, we don't have a lot to recap because I've been too busy to be keeping up with things. I feel like there's more that I want to talk about, but like what I put in my notes, not that much. So we might have a shorter episode, which feels good because we're going to be transitioning from Love Island into Project Runway. And I'm so excited. I have seen the first episode. I still am going to be doing episode 1 and 2 as a group episode. That's going to be bonus. And then episode 3 will be dropping not this week, next week, something like that. And so, yeah, next week. So it's going to be exciting. I love Project Runway. I love fashion. If you guys couldn't tell, I've been watching Project Runway with my mom for so long. It's like crazy. And I'm so excited to get to continue this like chapter and I get to do it with my mom, even though she's not coming on the podcast, I still get to do it with her. And that feels so good and amazing. And it feels good to get away from like really chaotic drama reality TV and into something that's a little bit more like cozy for me. Like that makes me as a person really excited and I'm really excited to bring that content to you guys. And then like get a breather. Have I still been watching Criminal Minds? Yeah. Of course I have. What do you mean? I'm on season 9 right now. Prentice left, then she came back, then she left again. JJ left, then she came back. Now we have this new Agent Blake, and I did not know if I was gonna like her. She's kind of growing on me. And what is his name? I can't think of it. It's so frustrating to me. Reed. Reed had a girlfriend who then got murdered by her stalker with a it was there's so many things insane. Morgan is dating like it's there's been so much going on and there's been so many crazy episodes and I feel like in season 9 there have been as well. I've noticed that in the seasons that I'm in right now they're introducing more female like serial killers and things like that. Thank you. I don't know if you guys know, but Sagittariuses are one of the top serial killers as an astrological sign. That's terrible. I'm not a serial killer, guys. I just love true crime. I find it so fascinating. Um, books I've been reading. Let's see. I finished a book. I can't tell you what book it is, but I did finish a book. Finished one book. In all of June, I finished one book. I'm still working on the last contract of Isako. I am still working on that. It's getting better. It's just, I'm not fully immersed in it. I am reading a book for the podcast because we're going to have a guest on the podcast and he wrote a memoir. So I'm reading that one. I'm also reading a book that's coming out that you're going to be like, guys, this is so fitting. And it's called I Do Not Apologize for My Hold on. I wanna get it correct because it's by author Ray Wild, and we had her on the Indie Ink podcast before, and she was amazing, and so I wanna make sure that I'm getting this correct because I'm so lucky I get to be a part of, like, the PR team, and I'm very, very excited. The name of the book is I Do Not Apologize for My Position on Men, and I'm about 40% through, and it's a anthology of a whole bunch of short stories, and I get so excited because every time they mention, like, a mermaid-ish kind of story, I love mermaids. I also love how mermaids or silkies or whatever you wanna call them come from, like, a really dark lore, and the Little Mermaid is basically like a story of a mermaid wanting to be in love with a man, and in reality, all of these kind of half fish, half woman creatures are, like, basically luring men into the ocean or the water to, like, off them. I love this. Her first story that she opened up with was fantastic. I think it was a fantastic opening to the book. So I'm so excited to get through to that. I am listening to I finished the book I finished was This Is Me, which is by Hayden Panettiere. That book was crazy. I don't know if I said I was going to, but I don't know if I'm gonna do it. There were parts that I really loved about the book, most of it. There were parts where like it felt like she was throwing in this segue that didn't feel really segueing. Most of the book actually isn't about what you think is going to be about. So like the part about her giving up her daughter, giving up custody of her daughter to her baby's father and her going through a abusive relationship, that's maybe the last like 10-15% of the book. Most of the book is kind of her journey through the TV shows and everything like that, and I enjoy that more. I don't like living in the heavy moments of a situation, but I do appreciate her honesty on it and her stance, specifically her stance on like her abusive relationship. I just finished a podcast with the J and K show and they asked me about my own essay and like my feelings about the person who did it to me and my desire not to like do certain things. And I related to a lot of what she said in the book about how like you love someone and even though you know that you can't be with them and that they've done you this terrible thing, you, like, don't wanna harm them, and that's such a weird place to kind of balance, and I don't think people will understand it unless they fully get it, and that is one of the things that I really loved listening to. But another thing I noticed is that she dates way older men, and I'm like, "Girl," like, when she was 18, she was dating somebody who was about to be 30 or something like that, but it was crazy, and I'm like, I've don't date really older men. I don't like that kind of philosophy, me. Dating older men is icky to me because I don't like playing into the idea that, like, dating a younger woman is we're dating someone whose skin is tighter, who's more fit, or who has less boundaries. I don't like that concept at all. I also don't know, we all know I'm not dating, but I don't like putting an age on it. I do feel more comfortable staying in my age range simply because I think that, like, the different places that we are in life are so different, and where someone I'm gonna be 35 this year, where I'm at 35 is not gonna be where someone's at is 40, and maybe there are people who are in that same cycle and we can connect, but I'm very, like, intentional with going through life experience with someone who can get it and understand it, like, that's so important to me, but she was young, dating people that were a lot older than her, her relationship with the father of her child was really fascinating. There she was very emotive and he was very non-emotive, and he was from Ukraine, I believe, or Russia, and he had very different values than she did, and it was an interesting mix, and I do love how even at the beginning of the book, she spoke so highly of him, and, she talks about her journey in giving up her daughter and not wanting it one to define her, but, like, how frustrated she was, but then how she thought about, like, as a mother, there's this stipulation that a mother has to be a certain way, and I'm still working through that stipulation myself with my relationship with my mother. But, like, as we debunk these gender norms, we can start to look at a mother and a father in a different sense and realize that just because they are, like, biologically these 2 things doesn't mean that they have to hold the roles that we attach to this biological thing. So maybe your father is more nurturing and your mother is more strict, and because we see in society that that's something that we expect for, a mom to be nurturing and your mom isn't, you're gonna feel like you're missing out, but you still have a nurturing parent and a more strict parent. You're still getting everything that you need in life, and maybe, like, stepping back and away from that and being like, this wasn't a disservice to me, it just swapped, and that's okay. It's okay if my life doesn't look the same as it looked, for everybody else, like, that it's totally fine, it's totally valid, and it's fair. So I love how she really sat with that, and she says she battles with it all the time about not feeling like she's the mom that she thought she would be, and I can't imagine, like, how hard that has to be, and, she talks about her going through postpartum and how she ended up being an alcoholic was because she needed to feel something and she didn't have answers. And so wine was her answer because that was the thing that she could say, "This makes me happy." And that conversation about being depressed, I said this to someone and I can't remember who, but it was my dad, and I was watching a TikTok clip, and it was basically of a man and a woman talking, and he was, like, asking her to describe depression, and, she's talking about this debilitating sadness that you don't feel like you can get off, but also you don't know anything different, and so you don't even know how bad it is sometimes because that's the life you live, and I was having a conversation with my dad about it, about I don't know how bad my depression is. I don't know how bad my anxiety, like, I'm self-aware to say that I don't know that. I have no idea how bad it is, how badly it's affecting people, what it's really doing. I have no idea because I'm living in it. And it's like living in the eye of the storm. Like, you don't know how bad everything around you is. You're just here being like, "Oh, okay, this is okay." Or what do they call, scent blindness? When you live in a house full of cats, you don't know that it smells like cats, but when people come to your house, it's the same thing. I don't know, and because I don't know and because I'm not aware, I make decisions unaware. And I was talking about how exhausted I am recently, and my dad was like, "You've been through all this trauma, you've lost all these things, you've lost friends, you're working your butt off to build your brand and your business, like, you're not taking enough break, you're still trying to be fit, you're still trying to do all these things, like, that's gonna exhaust you, and it's gonna take a really long time for you to get over that." And I'm sitting here like, "Am I done now?" Like, why am I tired? And so hearing it from the audiobook from Hayden Panettiere was nice to hear, just that people do struggle with it and, she didn't really know and all of her battles and struggles. I've never battled with sobriety. I have battled with being with partners who don't value me, who abuse me, and that's that's so hard, and even then, you don't know. I think I made a comment last week about Love Island, about Melanie, and how I feel like she'll look back on it one day, and she won't even realize how bad it is because she's not seeing it. Like, she's living it, but you really have to be the person that's looking back at it to be like, "Holy shit, this was bad," and you don't usually get that clarity until later on. Like, I look at my videos of myself when I was going through that period, and I feel so skinny, and I loved how skinny I was. But there's some points, like, not that I was skinny, but the way that my face looked to me, it just looked so unhappy. And although I've put on weight and I'm a little bit more curvy, and that is something that I'm battling with, I look at my face and I look happy to me. Even though I'm going through all of these things, I look at my face and it looks like a healthy, happy face. And that has nothing to do with like my weight or whatever. It has everything to do where I am in life. And so that book was really important to me to just get to experience. You know, she went through a lot of trauma. She lost her brother. There were so many things that she struggled through and she still came out of it. And that's something that we all can do. There's so many things that we can struggle through and battle through, and it doesn't define us. Like, whether we agree with her giving up custody to her, the father of her kid, she made the decision that she didn't feel like even was best for her. She made the decision she felt was the best for her daughter. And that's something I'm so adamant about when children are involved. It's not about you. It's not about what you want. It's not about what his want. The thought process has to be what is best for the child in this situation. And that was one of the best things that I read in her, is that even in the haze of her drinking and all of the craziness, she still had the wherewithal to be like, what's best for my child. And so I really love that. All right, let's get into some of these topics. First of all, we talked about Saint Satine a couple of episodes a month ago or whatever like that, how they came out, how they got so much backlash. And I mentioned it on not recap, like an episode with the guest, like the regular, basically unbothered, about how I felt like they were trying to become teeny bopper, which felt so weird because most of these girls are grown and only one of them is 15 in a group of like 20-year-olds. And that was really weird to me. Well, once again, guys, pat myself on the back. I was right, because Lexi has left Saint Satine and they have released a statement, which is funny because the internet is like, oh, we get a statement for Lexi, but we still haven't got a statement for Manon. I don't know, guys. That one's hard, but Lexi left, and there's speculation as to why she left. A lot of people think that's because she signed on for something that she was going to be thought was going to be more grown, more mature, kind of how, like I said, kind of how Cat's Eye is. That's what they set their brand on, and the way that they seem to be marketing what's kind of teeny bopper and kid like, and she probably didn't feel comfortable, and that's valid. Like, you're a grown woman. Why are you making songs that are going to appease to like middle school teenagers? That's a weird vibe for some people to live in. And so she walked away. And a lot of people aren't, like, most people are on her side. because Saints the Teen is struggling, and people are like, how is Saints the Teen already having all of these issues and they haven't officially debuted yet? Because if you don't know, with the K-pop sphere, you have to debut as a group. So even if they announce you as a group, you don't have your debut, and your debut is when you have like one or two songs and you display those songs, and everybody really truly gets to see you as a group. And the group that we saw wasn't really a group, it was just the winners of the world scouting that they had. And so they haven't really debuted with a song and, what their look is going to be like and what roles each girl is going to play. And so now this group is going to be a three group, and Hybex Geffen is struggling because their six group is a five group now. And as much as I love Manon, I will say that it looks better as a five group. I don't agree who all the five are in there. I will say that it looks better as a five group. I really do think that visuals is an important thing in a group now that I've been in that sphere and I've seen how beneficial it is in Cat's Eye. And even when Cat's Eye had their photo shoots and all this stuff with Manon, I could really see how beneficial it is to have that. I don't think that, as beautiful as all the girls are in Cat's Eye, that there's that same, oh my gosh, I can't stop looking at her quality. Like for instance, Lara. Lara is beautiful, but she has this quality about her that's so striking and so beautiful that you kinda almost wanna pull away from. And that's nothing against her or her beauty. That's just, some people are actually too beautiful to look at. And that's like, you're like a work of art. And that's how I feel art. And it's so striking. And Manal has this thing about her that's more like approachable and fun. She's so gorgeous, but like there's something about her face that you can almost see in yourself. And that's such a weird thing. But that is kind of what makes and breaks celebrity. Like, people think that beauty is the only thing, and, like, no, it's sometimes you can actually be too beautiful or too pretty or too something that it is off-putting to other people. And we're seeing more of that in TV shows and movies now where the kind of off beauty is getting more, attention. I think her name is Anna Joy would be like a perfect example. Anna Taylor-Joy, it to me is a perfect example of like she's beautiful and she's gorgeous, but she probably wouldn't have like in standard old times have made it through. And now she gets to, and we're changing that, but K-pop sphere isn't like that, and sadly, like, singing sphere isn't like that. And so I don't think that, as much as I think that the 5 group will do them well, I do think odd numbers of groups, except for obviously Blackpink, Damo, Blackpink, I do think odd numbers of group just look better in formations and things like that. But that's not my final say. It's not my choice. But the Saints to Teen thing, really, Lexi has been very vocal about, like, not being a part of project that she doesn't believe in. She left the, was it a Dreammaker Academy or whatever it was called? Because I watched the docuseries. She left that when they turned this what was originally supposed to be a K-pop-esque, growth, which if you don't know in the K-pop sphere, they bring in people all the time to be auditioning, and you continue and continue, continue, and it can last up to years. I think Jisoo was in it for like 4 years, 4 or 5 years into that group to build that K-pop group, which is Blackpink. So it can last for a really long time. You are competing against each other in a way, but not in a full competition. And there was no like inviting other people's opinions in it. They create the group that they thought was best. And Lexi walked away when she realized that they were not operating in what she thought was morally or integrally sound. And so her doing this again lets us know kind of what's happening. She doesn't think that the group that's forming is morally and integrally sound. And that is like, that's concerning because what is happening behind this group that they're doing that doesn't feel okay to Lexi and that she has to walk away from it? I wonder. There's also been this commentary recently about how Manon and Lexi come from socialist countries. And even Manon had said when there's Dream Academy and they were like commenting on her being lazy, which was so annoying as a black woman. But she was like, I don't come from this type of environment, right? And that's a thing that we have to when we're trying to be a global group, we have to understand that we can't hold everybody to our standard of being because not everybody lives the same way we live and practice in the same way. And so for Manal, she was like, when you're sick, you're sick. You take a day off. Like, why are you working if you're sick? And that was her philosophy in the way that she saw it. And so they were calling her lazy because she wouldn't show up if she couldn't sing or if she was sick or if her body aches, because that's not the society she lives in. And one also wonders, they're wondering now if Lexi and Manal share that same thing of just not tolerating bullshit. Like, is it a different societal system that changes what we will tolerate? What we will accept? Are we in our societal system taught to accept exhaustion, accept burnout, accept all these things because those things are going to be the things that make you successful and those are the only ways that you can get it? And is that really the right way to live? And there's more ways to live. I've been on Basically Unbothered recap and Basically Unbothered saying time and time again that there are more ways to live than just this, right? There's more ways to exist than just this moment where we're going through all of this. Like there's more to do. And so I do love that that conversation is coming up and we're talking about, do we really need to be pushing our bodies this far? And that a lot comes from consumers. Do we need to be coming out with albums every single year and singles and all of this and not taking rest and not allowing our bodies to heal? And that goes back to my conversation about not allowing my body to heal. Why is it that we don't do that in ourselves? I've been really considering taking a month off of work, and I might bring it down to 2 weeks because I wanna fund some things that I wanna do, like some if I get it approved to go to some markets for my business, because I'm funding my business right now, I'm funding the podcast, I'm doing all of it, and if I wanna keep some opportunities open for me, I have to have the money and finance to do that, but I'm looking into, like, things that I'm not gonna talk about to have the money to take 2 weeks to a month off because I'm just exhausted. And I sat down and I really thought about it. I haven't had a vacation. My vacation was going to the loony bin. Like, and I don't please don't come for me for calling a loony bin. I need to make it funny for myself, okay? But like Grippy Sock Joe, like that was Grippy Sock Joe was my vacation, and that's not a vacation. And then like coming out of it, those weren't vacations, those were me recovering. When have I taken a vacation in the last 2 years? And the answer was no. You know, I think the last vacation I took was my birthday, and that was when I turned 33, and I'm about to turn 35 this year. So like that gives you I've gone through all of these things. I've worked through my best friend's suicide. My dad just had surgery and I went to work the day my dad was in surgery and like bawled my eyes out at work because I suppressed so many emotions about him having surgery that when I couldn't hear from him, I freaked out. And when I finally heard his voice, I was like, I'm so emotional. And now I don't even want to go to work like my mom's surgery, my grandma passing away, funerals, my brother, like every single thing I've just gone to work for. I haven't taken time off because I haven't been able to afford to breathe and to relax and to like really heal from some of the shit that's happening. And so I love this perspective of evaluating what Lexi and Manar are doing and like saying, no, this isn't the way we want to live our life. We do want to explore celebrity and, singing and all of these projects that we love, but we don't have to sacrifice what we believe in and get there. And that is what I'm currently working on in myself. I don't have to give up what I've been working on to heal. I can do both. And that's what I'm hoping for the break. Like this work right here, this is healing for me. This is something that I love to do. I don't groan about getting to do it, but I also don't have to be social. And I think I am exhausted with being social. And I know like a lot of you don't work in the industry, but like working in the service industry, it's exhausting. It's exhausting being social. It's exhausting where you have to deal with weird people or weird comments and your only response that you can do is smile and continue. And if you respond any other way to people being inappropriate, or in my case, fucking racist, like people can be racist to me and people have been. I've experienced racism at work a lot. And do you know what I don't get to do? I don't get to cry about it. I don't even take a break. I just have to smile while someone's saying racist thing to me. Maybe sometimes I walk away, but like take it. And after a while, you just don't want to take it anymore. So I'm happy that Lexi is leaving. I think that Hybe X Geffen, this is an experiment. And I think that they should use this time to really go through this experiment and to really like understand that when you are creating a global group, your standards can't be solely in this realm. You have to understand that different societies operate differently. And that's really important. I was never gonna follow Saint Satine anyways. Like I said, I wasn't feeling it. I wasn't feeling their vibe. I was just like Lexi. So it's done and it's done. All right. Now we're getting into Love Island stuff. So I watched the finale. I wanted to have notes about like my final opinions on it, but it felt like so much. So we're gonna kind of talk about some things that we saw for Love Island and the finale, and then things that have been coming up afterwards. So, first of all, I hate Love Island's finales. I just don't care for the long dates and the I love yous and we're so good together. I don't, that's not what I'm here for. I'm not here for people to be doing shit onto people, but I just personally don't find that entertaining. Maybe the romance lovers, like, that's like, there's parts of this show, and this is why Love Island is so good, that there's parts of it for everybody, and I'm not, like, the romance lover. Um, so, like, that part isn't for me. Some people are, and they get really into it, but it was cute, everybody went on dates. Everybody's dates look different. There's been discourse on social media about, like, why do people get these dates, these less extravagant dates and more, and there was released a while ago that, like, they get to choose if they want a date or a night date, and there's also some people are different, like, I would have preferred, like, Kata and Zach and Kata's date, like, that would've been so much fun for me. I would've preferred, like, a fun date where we're doing things. Romantic dates, would've never. You would've never. I would've been like, "No." I'm not a big even before I decided that I didn't wanna be in romantic relationships anymore, I was never a big like, romance kind of person. I didn't really go on dates. I'm not really big into, like, those they just feel so performative to me, and they just don't align with me. Um, I'd just rather kick it at home and chill, but I did see a lot of people compare, like, that you knew that Zach and Kata and, Melanie and Sincere weren't gonna be at the top tier because of their dates, and yes, um, Carl and Anaya's and Trinity and Bryce dates were way more extravagant, but honestly, I feel like Zeta, Zach and Kata's date fit their personality so well. I felt like Sincere and Melanie's date were just a throwaway, but they have fun. And what I did like, because someone's like they couldn't even pay for a masseuse, I did like that Sincere gave her a massage, and I did like that while he was doing physical touch, he was also having a conversation about words of affirmation, and they really got to just like be. And I think that that's something that they really needed. I also love how they gave the girls a girls' day and they got to get their nails done and all that stuff. It was really cute. It added to it because let's be clear, the producers are realizing that what we love the most out of Love Island is the girls. And that's why to me I think this season is more successful than season 7 and why season 6 was really good is we like the relationships with the girls. and we like the camaraderie with the girls. And also I feel like they know that they threw and this, this comes from conversation that they had after season 6 and the mental stability of the Islanders and even with Huda and the conversations of like, was Huda crashing out or was Huda like really struggling mentally? And there was no like space for her to get that out. And I love that this season, what they're bringing is lighthearted moments for the women and that they get to experience some more extravagant things and that they're really taking care of them specifically because this season was so traumatic. And obviously there is parts of it that we love because we love drama as a society, but some of it was like super traumatic. And although it is good for us, they're living it. And so all of the things that they did for the girls this season, I really love and I hope they keep it up, especially if you're gonna put them through this much. I loved Anaya and Carl's like storybook. Like honestly, their date was the cutest to me just because the storybook aspect and because Anaya has always been, saying how she wanted a fairy tale thing and Carl is they're like people talking about the living embodiment of Roger and Hammerstein Cinderella where Cinderella was black played by Brandy and the Prince Charming was Asian man and we're getting to see that again. I love the book. I love where she got to talk about like the Casey drama and she still mentioned how traumatic it is for her. And that part meant so much to me because I feel like the season has just like brushed over it. And I talked about it before. Like, obviously, you can't really harp on it in the villa because you're not going to move on and you need to keep moving forward, which is traumatic in self. But I love how she still spoke on it. It was like, yeah, that was really hard for me. And it's still, really hard for me to go through. Like it wasn't an easy thing for me to deal with. And I love her getting a moment to really speak about that and acknowledge that and say, that shit sucks. Please don't make me do that again. And her and Carl to get to that experience and Carl to be like, it was always you. And, when I said the walls were up, they were never really up. I love that. And we get to the finale and obviously Trinity and Bryce win. If I were to vote, guys, I would have voted for Anaya and Carl. But we all knew from like week 3 that Trinity and Bryce were gonna win. There was really no question in anybody's mind about that. So I love that for them. And Anaya and Carl were runner up. There's been really cute because one of the late night shows, is it Jimmy Fallon? It might be Jimmy Fallon. I don't know these people on these late night shows. Yeah, it's Jimmy Fallon. He kind of did a riff with one of the band members and he was like, it should have been, the band member was like, but Carl and Anaya, they got all this tested and all this stuff. It was so cute. And it was just like a really silly, amazing moment and I loved it. Now the Islanders are outside the villa. One of the things I love is Melanie's been really quiet. Melanie has been pretty fucking quiet about this whole thing. I haven't seen much posted about her, and I love like she hasn't posted many things, and I love that because she's truly taken time to fully adjust to everything. And she got a lot of hate. There was the video of Soul, and don't worry, guys. We're gonna get to Soul in a second. There's a video of Soul being on live, and which is confirmed by Kenzie on Call Her Daddy. Kenzie and Jaden having a conversation about Melanie. And we see this a lot because it was the same thing that happened about Leah. And almost like to the T, it was the same thing that happened with Leah. And it was, oh, I cannot remember her name, what her name, Kaylor. It was Kaylor, and she got kind of caught talking shit about Leah. And the same thing happened here. And Kenzie goes on to Call Her Daddy and she defends it. And she's like, yeah, we were just talking about how we felt like it was unfair that Melanie got more screen time. Guys, I want to be clear. Melanie got more screen time because we liked her more, because we vibed with her more. Because as much as y'all tried to make her the villain of the villa, she was like She was our princess. Like, I was just listening to the Vile Files and how they said that we weren't rooting for Sincere. We were always just keeping Melanie on because we like Melanie. And I'm sorry. And like, there's this like, I get it, right? You feel like you didn't get enough screen time. You feel like it would have been more fair if your stories got talked about more. But there's this, this conversation about like, they give screen time to who people want to see. And I'm sorry that that's not who you're not what people wanted to see, but you weren't. And you can't fault Melanie for being what people wanted to see and being relatable and real. There's drama with Sincere's family. His family got caught talking about, Anaya being like Shrek and just talking shit specifically about Anaya, but the whole cast or whatever. And Sincere's been pretty quiet too, as he should be, because, and I guess like there's been crazy stuff. His biological father comes on and is like, that was his stepdad and I don't agree and blah, blah, blah. And everybody should big up my son because he got this opportunity and I was a dad. And I'm like, I get it now. I saw that and I was instantly like, I get it. Oh, honey, baby, sweetie bear. Do I get it now? I get exactly how Sincere got to be to this place and how he didn't understand what he was doing wrong and so many things. Because if this is your biological father saying this, not even holding you, like your stepdad is a person holding you accountable, which should be what your biological father is doing. But like if your biological father isn't holding you accountable, then like, what the fuck? So his family has just been really messy and not everybody, like, not everybody is meant to have visibility. I just want to say that. Like, not everybody is meant to have visibility. People would probably be shocked at some of the things that, like, my family would say. And I work on my family. Like, we have open conversations about, like, what's okay to say, what's not okay to say anymore. I don't think that we should blame Sincere for what his family says. Like, that's not his fault. His family he has no control over. I get the whole concept of, like, but that's where he comes from. So does he have those beliefs? Sometimes they don't. Like, we're in the generations where millennials, Gen Zs, Gen Alphas, where we're actually actively changing the toxicity that comes from our family. And that's not like some of it is intentional and some of it is just learned toxicity. And so we're in that place where we're changing that. So what one person looks like, and I see this so many times at the brewery, I see this so many times in some of my friends, is that their families are so toxic that they just don't function or talk to them the same way, but they're not that way. And so as much as I don't like Sincere, I say kind of let it be. Other things that happen in since they've left the villa. Disney has invited Carl and Anaya to go to Disney and have their own like fairy tale there. And I'm so excited. Please, please, Carl and Anaya do it. I love their story. I love their journey. Trinity and Kata got a hair glow up, which was so cute. And I love that. Other Islanders have been talking on podcasts. We still got Corbin and everything like that. The Trinity Kata hair glow up thing was super, super cute. But that's where we come into this issue with Soul. And I stand by what I said a month ago or whatever when Soul first came into the sphere when she left, is that Soul has a real issue with like her self-esteem. And what she's doing is, to me, she's projecting that she is more confident than she really is. And that comes off really weird. And that's what people are reading wrong. When people are like, why are people treating Soul such a way? It's because we as human beings can sense disingenuousness in a person. We don't always get it right, but there's some genuinity. There's something disingenuous about Soul. And that shows, with how she keeps talking. It's giving dude, what was her name in season 6? Because she just brought herself up to it too. Andrea has just brought herself up into things too recently, mentioning something about how Janae bullied her and the Love Island reunion for pulling out the receipts. And Janae's like, I haven't even thought about you. Like, I forgot that you exist and you're coming after me this years later. That's kind of what Soul feels like. It's she keeps trying to make the conversation about her and saying things, or people are saying things like, if I would have went into the villa as a bombshell, I wouldn't really have these problems. I think you would have. I really truly think you would have, because I think there's something that you're not connecting with in your personality yet that people aren't connecting with you. And the kind of ideas that I was listening to Call Her Daddy when Kinsey was on there, and she was like, yeah, well, Soul was right when she said that this is Love Island, not Couple Island. And I'm like, this is also Love Island, not Sleep Around Island. So if they've already found connection that they really like, there's nothing you can do. And I don't understand why you take it so personal. Like, that's the big thing. She takes not being these people's preferences, or not being able to dissuade or distract or get these couples broken up because she's so attractive, personal. And that's such a weird concept if you think about it. Like, I don't go and be like, oh, that man is fine. And obviously this is different context, but I don't go and be like, oh, that man is fine. I'm so upset that he won't leave his girl for me. Break up with your girlfriend. I'm bored. Like, what? It's the concept that she's so upset that she wasn't everybody's cup of tea shows a lack of confidence. If you're confident, and then she'll try to like switch it around and be like, but that doesn't matter. I'm hot. I know I'm this. I know I'm that. If you were so confident in yourself, you would not, one, need to put down the women in the villa to make yourself feel better. Two, not give a fuck if you were these people's cup of tea or not. Three, continue clout chasing it, coming for Melanie, coming for Sincere, consistently starting this drama. Like, you want to be famous. I get it. Like, I get it. But this is not the way to do it. And you're really just causing so much more harm. And you're not making them look bad. You're making you look, I cannot elaborate this enough. When you spend all of your time talking shit on someone else's name, and you don't spend equal, if not way more significant amount of time building people up, the only thing you do is you look bad. I have a recap podcast where I talk about people and I try to relate it to societal things. But I also have another podcast where I spend time big upping indie creators, indie publishers, indie bookstore, all these kind of things, these people. And then I have a whole nother podcast where I'm only focusing on bigging up indie authors. And then I have the indie author bookstore where I'm focused on big upping indie authors. Like, most of my existence is spent trying to get people higher up and bigging up as many people as I can and doing advocacy work. Soul is spending most of her existence on the internet talking shit. And it's like, girl, and the worst part is then she has the people who are hyping her up. And it's like, girl, just give it the fuck up. Please. Like, I really truly, the whole like, you'll get more shit with honey than vinegar. Like, you would be getting so much more positive attention if you spent time looking at the positive things. Who the fuck cares that Sincere didn't want you, or that Casey didn't want you, or that Corbin or Zach or what? They found the people that they really liked, and that is what the show is for. And you just weren't that person. And again, maybe the producer spent so much time hyping you up and telling you that you were about to be this big disruptor in the villa, but you weren't. Let it go. Like, literally, what did Melanie's mom say? Like, you spending all this time and attention on someone, and you're gonna be missing opportunities. You're spending so much time here, you could be missing opportunity. Handle it well. You could be on so many other dating shows. So many people from Love Island have gone on to other dating shows. that exist. There's so many right now. Like, everything's an opportunity. Live in it. Let go the fact that you weren't their type. I'm not everybody's type. Matter of fact, I'm very few people's types. And I don't walk into a room and be like, oh my gosh, I'm so hurt that no one's paying attention to me. And I battle with insecurity all the time. And I'm not walking in and be like, oh my gosh, I'm so hurt. No one's paying attention to me, or I can't break up that couple, or they're not eyeing me, or they weren't giving me, like, I don't give a fuck. I don't. Either you like me or you don't. I'm not going to beg for your attention. If you got your eyes on somebody else, have it. If you were giving me attention and you went to somebody else, does it hurt? Sure, but I'm not going to harp on it because life's too fucking short. And then there's this weird thing that she did, and I don't know if it was intentional. I don't know if it's just because everybody's getting ready, even though I don't know when they're going to be recording the reunion. Usually they wait like 2 weeks for everybody to get settled, watch the season and everything like that before they record the reunion. But a day or two after Kata and Trinity got their hair done, So went and had the same quote unquote hair glow up, and it failed. It failed miserably. I'm looking at these comment sections and I'm not going I don't like commenting on a woman's appearance. We all know that I said that. I'm usually trying to like big up, but Soul's a beautiful woman. Soul is beautiful. I think her pixie cut, I've said it before, that was my issue. And people have been posting about it, how they think that she needs to go to like a black hairstylist to get her pixie cut the right way. I think her pixie cut fits her and her personality and where she's growing so bad. I hated seeing her get this long blonde swoop part wig. I hated it. It was like, "What are you doing?" That it almost looked like a version of what Trinity got. And, she spent this whole Love Island talking about how confident she is in her short hair and, she likes being different. And then she made a decision to try to look like everybody else. And that is like there's something going on with her. And I hope that like love and healing or whatever happens because there's something that's really going on with her right now. And I don't know if like Love Island was like this, it like fuck with her psyche and the way that she sees herself because that's so hard. But like her doing that hairstyle just felt so weird. And obviously, I don't know how much they keep up with the producers as well or if they were telling them what's going on. But not only did it feel so weird, it didn't even feel like it fit her. Right? It didn't feel like it fit her or matched her personality. It felt like she was really trying to be somebody else that she's not. And that to me was the saddest part of it. And also heard, these statements about when I go to, by the way, hilarious, when I go to the reunion, I'm going to have something to say and everybody's going to hear from me. Honey, they record for 8 hours and they maybe give you 2 hours of that reunion. So you might not even get as much screen time as you think that you're going to get. And if you're already coming on trying to be problematic, the editors are already probably being like, no, we're going to be editing her out. Like, but what do you have to say? I mean, Kenzie went on Call Her Daddy and said that some of the things were unfair, whatever, but like, what do you have to say? I just want her to let it go. I want her to heal. I want her to let this situation die and move on and get to have the opportunities that she could be getting. We're gonna hop off of Soul and get into some KT and TT drama. I talked about this on the podcast that's gonna be coming out like this week along with this one. So basically Casey and TT came out and they said, oh, well, the reason why we're not getting or we're getting all this hate and vitriol is because, we're black and people didn't like it. And the reason why people are calling me ghetto is because we're black. And we're all like, no, the reason why you're going to hate and vitriol because you guys came into the island like a wrecking ball. And there were so many other black contestants on it that people don't feel that way. It's simply about your actions. And so that'll be talked about more on the podcast episode. But I just want to share with you guys the hate that I had been getting that was just like crazy. So it started because people were commenting on how the Islanders are posting to their story about like, can you guys please stop giving Zach hate? He really doesn't deserve it. He's such a good human being. And then people are like, well, why are they not saying this about um Casey and TT and all the hate that they're getting? And I was like, one's deserved and one is not. And people are like, oh my gosh, how could you say that death threats are deserved? I have never in my entirety have ever said that I think death threats are deserved. I think it's wild to threaten someone's life and you don't know them for something that you saw them do on TV. That's just that's between you and you. Like those are things that you have to like examine in yourself at that moment cuz what the what, right? That being said, if you do dog shit on national TV, international TV at this point, you cannot get mad at people for calling you out on the dog shit that you did. If you did dog shit on national TV, you cannot get mad at people calling you out for the dog shit you did because you did the dog shit you did and you did the dog shit you did knowing you were on TV. Like you knew that people were recording you and you did the dog shit you did. Period. You cannot get mad at people. No, TT, people don't think you're ghetto because you're black. They think you're ghetto because you came into the island ghetto. And this is coming from a black girl. You came into the island ghetto. I'm TT. I'm here to steal everybody, man. Blah, 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 blah. Like, you tried to fight Trinity when Trinity was trying to tell you that she had no, like, you portrayed this. And I could see, like, if it was a bad edit. No. In fact, they stopped showing you guys on Love Island. There were very few clips of you guys together on Love Island. Why is that? Anyways, so I I made my opinion known. And I'm trying to find it. Well, it has to be like in my comments because I was on someone else's post. So like people have been coming for me. Somebody called me a coon, like a black man called me a coon because I said that Casey and TT do deserve some of the hate that they're getting for what the shit they did. Like that's called the consequences of your fucking actions. Someone was like, you're a black woman and you're sitting on the internet condoning bullying, hate, and racism with two black islanders. No one is hating on them because they're raised. They're hating on them because they did fuck shit on the island. Someone says, let me guess you're a chick that thinks you're a dude. That was really interesting. And continued. And I was like, actually, I don't think that chicks think that they're anything but chicks. They're baby chickens. I don't think that they have the like mind to conceptualize that very well. But sure. Someone said, did I miss an episode where Casey smacked someone? Like, what am I missing here? Guys, let's be clear. Casey went on the show, was upset because he wasn't picked originally, even though he wasn't showing his authentic self. Then got matched up with Anaya, who also, I wanted for the record, Anaya picked someone and they didn't pick her. So she was also rejected. Both of these people were rejected. One person handled it well, one person didn't handle it. Anaya also wasn't picked. I just want to be clear. Like, let us get that in our head. Anaya also wasn't picked and she didn't do this shit. But then Casey spent time trying to pretend like he's the good guy all the while moving differently, lying, pretending, hiding, and then showed up in Casa and was like disrespectful. And he was disrespectful before Casa, calling her a grandma because she wasn't as intimate, all kinds of things. So yeah, he kind of did smack the fuck out of someone emotionally. Someone said, sir, you sound very uneducated. Why did it matter what someone else is doing? Oh, you're a dumbass. It be your own people. Got called a dumbass again. And someone said, as a Q dog, you think I give a fuck? And Sincere was tripping. Corbin didn't owe anyone shit. And then spent another 2 paragraphs. And I was like, it feels like you do give a fuck, actually, because you're commenting on this and you're spending all this time writing things. If you didn't give a fuck, you would like not be writing. This is literally all biased. You sound slow. No one on that show deserves hate messages or anything. Like it's just crazy. Hatred is never justified. Please see a therapist. Well, you have the intellect and moral compass of a girl. Nothing womanly about withholding bullying people online. They also use the wrong word. Um, there was so many things. It was just like crazy. The girl, you sound idiotic as fuck. Like here's the best part though. What they're doing is they're defending their statement about how Casey and TT didn't deserve hate. But while they're defending their statement, they're giving me hate. I'm never gonna take a ironic person serious. Like let that be really clear. I'm never gonna take. I don't know if it's ironic or whatever the right word is. I'm never gonna take a person who's trying to protect something, a theory, a mythology, a belief, by doing the exact thing that they're trying to protect. Like that's fucking dumb. If you want to have a disagreement with me, you can have a disagreement with me. But as soon as you start like talking about me as a person, you're bullying me based off of something I said on social media. And guess what? I don't give a fuck because I believe that when you put something out on social media, you're opening it up for opinions. Now you can change that. You can put out something on social media and put off your comments. And guess what? Then you're good. You can say what you want on social media. And if you're going on a reality TV show, right? And you know, this reality TV show is one of the most controversial, most discussed reality TV shows that exist right now. Okay. And you know that people are gonna have opinions about you because you know what happens on the show. And then you get mad because people have opinions about you. That's stupid to me personally. It's like saying, hey guys, we're going to put you in the Shark Tank and we're not going to give you any protection. But if you go in the Shark Tank, the sharks are going to try to bite you and then be mad that the sharks are trying to bite you. You knew what you were getting into. Now, I don't think death threats are warranted at all. But for someone calling you out on your shit, you did it, right? Like I don't like Sincere at all. But one of the things that I do like about what Sincere eventually got to, and maybe that was just fake, but being like, I do deserve it. I did fuck up. I do like even when his dad was saying it, he wasn't arguing, he was like, you're right. You're right. Like Casey and TT don't have that level to recognize where they're fucking up. And clearly they are perfect together because they're childish and they like to talk shit about people and they don't take accountability for what they did. And this was shown on the After Sun when they tried to like displace their accountability for their actions onto their race. And this is why for me as a Black woman, it's really hard because I often don't want to talk about what I experience, which is like, you know, the implicit bias and underlying racism and things like that, because I don't want people to be like, oh, you're just blaming a race for it, because that's something that people do. Like that's the thing that people do. And them doing it is detrimental to all of us as a Black community. Them blaming the fact that people don't like the way they moved in the villa or the fact that people perceive them on anything based on what they gave people is fucked up. Because if they were the only Black people on the island, that would be different. But they're not by far. As it was discussed, season finale, can't believe that 4 beautiful Black women are going to be in this finale, that they made it the core 4. So like, you weren't the only one. And before anybody goes into being like, oh, but like some of them are, first of all, their whole one drop thing still exists. Second of all, Anaya is Black without a question mark. So she's also a dark skinned girl like TT without a question mark. And people aren't responding to her the same way they're responding to TT. It's your personality. All right, her last topic of the day. This episode of Basically Unbothered is brought to you by Sister Sense Candle Co. If you're the kind of person who wants your home to smell like a haunted library, an enchanted forest, an ancient cathedral, or the coziest autumn evening imaginable, you're going to love this. Sister Sense Candle is a woman-owned Michigan fragrance studio handcrafting soy candles, perfume oils, incense, and home fragrances inspired by folklore, gothic romance, and the beauty of the natural world. Every product is made with small batches with clean burning soy wax, phthalate free fragrance oils, and thoughtfully chosen ingredients to make scents that make everyday life feel just a little more magical. Whether you're setting the mood for your next reading session, writing your novel, or simply winding down after a long day, there's a scent waiting for you. You can shop online or find Sister Scents Candle Co. at markets, festivals, and workshops across Michigan. Be sure to check them out and tell them Basically Unbothered sent you. This is actually going longer than I thought it was. Our last topic of the day is Kinsey on Call Her Daddy. Um, I listened to all of it. I've seen people say that Kinsey cracked out energy. I didn't want to use that term, but low key. Her outfit choice, first of all, just talking about fashion. I know that we talk about women's outfit choices, but if a man wore this on a podcast, I would say the same fucking exact thing. I just want to be clear. She wore like basically a bralette that's like up to here, right? And booty shorts that are like right here. And that's what she wore on Call Her Daddy. And I'm just like, okay. And someone was like, maybe she needed a stylist. Absolutely. Like, I get that she just wanted to give like fun energy, but I'm giving fun like Kim Kardashian wore a tank top and like a hat, and you know what I mean? Like, you don't have to be super like professional, but that outfit I just woke up from sleeping and I'm not going to change my clothes. And I don't know. Some of the things that I got from the podcast, I wasn't a big fan of it. I literally had to stop. And I love Call Her Daddy when Call Her Daddy has like the Love Island cast members on, and I hope that she's going to have more Love Island cast members on. Cuz Kinsey just wasn't it. She really just doesn't get it. And she's coming on and she was saying things like, I don't get why people were talking about I'm being so lustful. I wasn't being lustful, and everybody's listening and be like, "Oh my gosh, have you have you watched have you watched what have you watched the season yet? Have you not like seen?" And she said like her parents said that they felt like that she wasn't fully just portrayed a certain way or whatever, but like you did all that. And I don't think that you understand that you did all that. And yeah, you definitely came off. And I mean, even on the podcast, she came off very freaked out and lustful. And there's nothing wrong with that. Like, if that's the way you like live, cool, great. I love that for you. But you that's like you were talking about like how she literally started Call Her Daddy with saying that she learned her Glock skills from listening to Call Her Daddy pod. That's how she started the podcast, guys. Like what there was something not clicking in it. She didn't realize her wrongs. There was a moment where, she's talking about how she felt alone because the girls in the villa were saying that she was like sincere. And I want to be clear, the girls in the villa weren't harping on her about it. I mean, maybe they were more than what we saw, but from movie night, they were kind of like, damn, Kinsey, this looks really bad. And Kinsey immediately, like they just held Kinsey accountable. Like, damn, this looks really bad. And then they talked to her girl to girl and was like, yeah, I understand that you were exploring. I get it. But it was kind of giving sincere. And to be clear, it was kind of giving sincere. That doesn't mean that you were anywhere at Sincere's level, but out of all of the girls on the villa and the experiences that we had, yours was the most reflective of what Sincere was doing. And she was saying, like, I thought I was coming on and a kiss is a handshake. And I get that. But the weird part was that she started it saying that she really didn't watch Love Island, but then went to make very referenced Love Island like comments. So like mentioning Charlie or mentioning Kaylor and Aaron and things like that, she kind of she made real specific comments, and I don't know if that's from her just watching it on TikTok, but she's saying like I thought that this is what we were supposed to do, and she told Call Her Daddy, oh, well, or Alex Cooper, oh, well, I thought that we were supposed to be like this was part of the game, which is weird because she said she didn't know what to expect. But then she goes, I thought that we were supposed to be doing this. And two things could be true at once, potentially. But I don't think, and I've said this before, I don't think that there was anything wrong with her exploring. And even Melanie said, I don't think there's anything wrong with you exploring. I think you should continue to explore. And then she got pissed at Melanie for saying that. So like you're pissed at the girls for not picking your side, but then you're pissed at the girls when they tell you that they really got it. And she was like, Jaden was the only one. I don't mean this anyway, but Kinsey comes from the South, and I don't know how much Kinsey has been introduced to different ethnicities, but she was kind of giving white preference. Also was Caleb. Let's be clear. She said something like, I don't know why Caleb didn't explore other girls in the villa. And we're all like, we know. He didn't explore any other girls in the villas because there weren't any other white girls really in the villa but Jen. And Jen was coupled up with Gabe. So, like, I don't know what you want. But she definitely shows preference to Jaden and Jen, but she says that she loves Melanie down. But it's not giving I love Melanie down. It gives like I'm gonna hang out with the girls who look like me, which I get. 100, like I want to be clear. As a Black person, I'm gonna hang out with the girls who look like me. As an Afro Caribbean person, I'm gonna hang out like me and Melanie we're both Afro Caribbean. We would be vibing. We'd be talking about the crazy shit our mama be doing. We could be comparing like food recipes, all that shit. I just don't think that she really got it. Like she had preferential treatment, and as soon as like white girls came on, she like went there and was with Jen. And because Jen was with Soul, she kind of attached herself to Soul. But even she had mentioned on the show, like, Jen, I'm telling you because you're the only one I trust, which is weird because she says that Melanie was her best friend. And even Melanie had called it out and said, like, it was weird when you called me your best friend because I don't feel like you've been that way to me for a long time. And so, her thinking like, oh, Jaden was the only one that was, doing that. Melanie was going through her own shit, but Melanie literally called you out because she felt like you should be exploring and you were doing the thing. The men, and she's talking like, maybe it's sexism. The men were the people that were shaming you the most. Other than Kata being like, yo, you kind of were giving sincere, which you were, the men were the ones like, she's so bad and she's doing this, and Corbin and, Dylan and Gall, all of that was them. And I really feel like she just doesn't see it yet. And Kenzie's young, and honestly, she was giving young and dumb energy, and not in a like I'm not calling her dumb, like that's a kind of energy. She was giving young and dumb energy during that podcast. And I just don't think that she's fully like sat in and let the accountability happen. Because at the end of the episode, once again, her talking about I'm not lustful. I don't know why I've ever seen this. She's talking about having sex on a beach and in an ocean. And I'm just like, if you Call Her Daddy was the time for you to show that you weren't so freaked out, if that's what you wanted. If you had the opportunity to show who you really were, and that is what you showed. And I would have loved, honestly, to see a different side of Kenzie in Call Her Daddy. And I think that's what I love about Call Her Daddy. And when you get to on that, you get to see a different side. I didn't really see a different side of Kenzie. I saw the same side that I've been seeing all Villa. Like with Huda, you got to see a different side. You got to understand her background and why she did, the things that she did. And you don't get that. What Kenzie basically was giving what we all thought she was giving the whole time. And obviously there's Kenzie defenders and people be like, oh, we loved her on Call Her Daddy. She explained so much. She didn't. She didn't. I did not. And I love listening to it because I feel like I gained so much insight. I gained nothing. And then for her to be like, I don't understand why Parmita has so much beef with me or whatever. And I'm just like, because you talk shit about her, probably. And Parmita doesn't play. And I get it. She's kind of like, but here's the thing. Kenzie was also like, you're dead to me to Zach. And that was one of the things she did clear up, that with Zach, she did end up talking to them. They end up being friends. So it wasn't like you're dead to me forever, but you started it. You started the whole, you hurt me. You did something to me. I'm not talking to you thing. Valid. Respect that when someone else does it. Sometimes you burn bridges and you just have to let them be burned. And maybe if you let them be burned for a little bit, they can start to rebuild on their own. But like, maybe there is a reason why Parmita doesn't like you. And Parmita is a straight up person, which is why I think that she was really good for Corbin, because she would just say, if you fuck around with me, you're done. If you do this to me, you're done. I don't play games. I truly, honestly, really respect that. And I think that there's a maturity level because of the age that Parmita has that Kenzie doesn't have yet. And that comes through experiences. And I hope that through this Love Island experience and when it gets to the reunion, we can see things differently. Sadly, the reunion doesn't come out until like the end of August, which is the most infuriating thing. But I get it. They want to give time for everybody to get settled in. And because there's Viall Files we're talking about, there is so much drama that happens between when they get out of the island and when they shoot the reunion. And some of that happens when they watch the show. And there's, what was there, like 50, 30 something episodes of the show? Like, okay, we do got to give them like time to catch up with everything. We've been following it through these 6 weeks. Like, we got to give them space too. But then people get on podcasts and people do all of this. And so as much as it sucks, we do have to wait. I will be covering the reunion. Don't worry. 100% will. I wish Janae could come back to pull out all the receipts. One of my favorite like moments in reunion history ever was her pulling out the receipts. Who cares what Andrea says? It was perfect. It wasn't bullying. It was accountable. To be clear, guys, we have to let accountability and bullying live in different spaces. You can be holding someone accountable for their actions is not bullying. Now, do they overlap? Sure, there's this Venn diagram and there's accountability and then there's bullying and there's something and it's in the middle for sure. But holding someone accountable for what they said, what they opened up their mouth to say about you is not bullying. There is a difference. It's not hate to hold someone accountable for the shit that they said and did to another person. That's just accountability. And some people may let it go sooner and some people may not. And you have to learn how to roll with that shit. So we'll see how it goes. I'll keep, you guys know, I'm waiting for a podcast episode with Anaya, Kata, or Melanie. I love Trinity. I love that, their press tour that they're doing. Kata, Anaya, and Melanie are the podcast episodes I'm looking for. And I'm hoping that they can get Melanie on Call Her Daddy. Please, please, please. Can we get Melanie on Call Her Daddy? But until then, there's been other things going on, guys. There's obviously Taylor Frankie Paul stuff. I'm not speculating on it yet because even from I saw it a couple of days ago to now, it's been reported that lies are going on. So some of those things I'm just going to take a step back on. As they said in Coffee Convos, I'm not going to be chasing all the headlines all the time. Some things I'm going to let rest and settle and sit and then make my decision if I want to talk about it. But until then, thank you guys so much. And if you have a chance, go check out the J and K show that I just recorded a podcast that looked just like this. I recorded it today as well. Hopefully that'll be coming out soon. Go check them out because I'm going to be on their podcast soon. And I'm going to be talking about more podcasts I'm going to be on coming up really soon as well. So I cannot wait to introduce you guys to all of that. Till then, thank you so much for listening to Basically Unbothered. Stay fucking unbothered. And I'll see you next time. Bye. Gabby Gabs Podcast.